joined by the great Barry Switzer, Oklahoma National Championship coach, Super Bowl head coach of the Cowboys. I know Nebraska's going through a tough time right now. Everybody has their ups and downs, but what does tomorrow, you think, mean to Nebraska and Oklahoma fans?
Well, they're making it a celebration of 50 years. We played 10 years ago, but it's a 50-year rivalry for the national championship. We play them every year in the Big 8 Conference, and it was our number one rival. People think Texas is. Texas is the number one rival for fans, not for the players and coaches, because, the reason why it's for the fans is because we have so many kids that come to school here, graduate here, go back south to the Red River, make a living in Texas, Houston and Dallas and all over. Games got important to them when they live in their communities, and for us to come down to the Cotton Bowl every year and beat the Longhorns is kind of a plus for them, so to live in that community. But for us, we know our goal is to win the Big 8 Conference Championship and play for the national championship when I was at Oklahoma. This is back in the 70s and 80s, and when we were in the dominant period, we won more games in the 70s than any team in college football, and we won 9 consecutive Big 8 Conference championships. We won 3 nationals, should have won 4, played for 5. But the problem was that it wasn't Texas. If you beat Texas, we always thought we were good enough to beat Nebraska. And if you played Nebraska and beat them wherever, home or there, you're going to play in the Orange Bowl for the Big 8 Conference Championship, and you're playing for the national championship, because the Orange Bowl always was able to get and attract the top player in the country, ranked team in the country, not player, but team in the country. And that's what they were able to do, and that's why the Orange Bowl produced more national championship games than the other bowl game. And so that was our goal here. Texas was huge. It was big, but Nebraska was bigger, and to the coaches and players, because that's how we got to our goals and of winning a championship.
I love the series. I'm glad it's back, and I know you talked about the 50th anniversary, and I know you were about to take over as head coach from Chuck Fairbanks. What do you remember the most? I've read 20 stories this week. I've heard read a lot of your quotes. What do you remember most?
I read most of them. Yeah, listen. I think about, obviously, it was the best number. They were the number one defense in the country. We were the number one offense in the country. We set a national rushing record that year. It'll never be broken. Records are made to be broken, but I'm tell you what, this one won't be touched. 1971, we averaged 472 yards a game for 11 games rushing the football. And we had the national record in total offense that year, too, about 600 yards a game. But that's been broken with a lot of passing teams since, and it's a change of offenses. But to run the football, no one runs the ball like that again, David. No one that rushes the ball or is committed to rush the game, football like that. And we were the number one offense. They were the number one defense, and they had the ball last, and they won. And we came back from behind twice in the game. We were leading 31-28. They scored the last minute the game and went ahead 35-31, and we didn't have enough time to come back and win it. And that was they were better. We weren't as good on defense and weren't good enough to hold them. And there were some key plays in there. We fumbled the ball and gave it to them 3 times. They only gave us 1 fumble. We gave them 3. They scored off 1. It was a pretty even game, but and it was a dominant performance by Jack Milton that day, our quarterback. He rushed for 140 yards. They took Pruitt away from us to the pitch, and I regret not throwing the ball to Johnny Harrison, the split receiver, 3 or 4 more times on deep routes, and not making sure that Greg Pruitt got the ball put in his hands at least 25 to 30 times a game, because like we did with Billy Sims, and he was that kind of back, great player. He'd make something happen, and we should have, he should have come north and south against Nebraska out with some blasts and pops and stretch plays and sweeps that we didn't have in our offense at that time.
Why was, other than the fact you guys were incredible during the whole time you were at Oklahoma, but there were games that came down, just like that one, they won that one, and there was a couple of others that they won that were close, but in the 70s after that, up until the game where Billy Sims fumbled late in the game and you ended up beating them the next 3-4 weeks later in the Orange Bowl, you always had once or twice you had just, well, maybe more than that, a better team across the board. But there was always a play. Was that just a mindset that you guys knew how to win, even though they were really, really good?
Yeah, they call it Sooner Magic, but what it is, great players making big plays when you need them in the game to win it. And we had a lot of great players, Billy Sims and Keith Jackson and guys like that just performed and made it happen. But we beat Nebraska. My 10th record against Nebraska was 11-5. We were dominant against them, and so we came back in the fourth quarter 6 times to win ball games, to win Big 8 conference championships, to beat them, whether it was here or there. You mentioned the 78 game. That was my best team, and it lost. We fumbled 9 times and lost 6 fumbles that day at Lincoln. And if we hadn't done that, we won that game. We were going to be national champions. But we got them in the Orange Bowl, a rematch. We fumbled once and didn't lose that fumble. And we had them 31-10 in the fourth quarter. So that's the difference. A team that makes the fewest mistakes usually wins a football game, especially when they're equal or balanced teams. And that was the case. I've fumbled 13 times in some games, but we were so much better than they were, it wouldn't make any difference. We could fumble 20 and we'd still won. But it just, games like that, you got to play your best, and we didn't, and we lost it. But we, in most cases, we had it working for us against Nebraska, and we won. We won the series pretty good.
How much, and again, all week long, these stories reminiscing, but what will it be like tomorrow? Oklahoma's a heavy favorite, and we know why. Nebraska's going through a very tough time. I'm not sure where they'll ever get back. But what will it be like to kind of relive that again and have those two schools? And I remember the Big 12 title game in 2010, but what will that atmosphere be like, you think?
First of all, it won't be the same because we're not in the same league.
Right.
They're in the Big Ten, and we're going to be in the SEC, and it's not going to mean as much. It's just it'll be a non-conference, game won't mean anything toward our championship player in SEC. But I think it would be a good non-conference game, but I don't think we're going to have so many to pick from that. Like Texas will be a non-conference game. We're going to play Texas every year, but they're going to be still. I mean, there'll be a conference game again, and they're not, and they'll travel with us, but we'll be playing other teams that that'll be just as good as Nebraska. That will be attractive to our schedule, but it'll never be what it was. It'll never be that, David. No.
Barry, one more thing. I know your dog wants to go out. Is the SEC, the decisions? Obviously, Oklahoma can win anywhere. I know there's always the debate. But what about, again, you say it's never going to be the same. And you're right. Is college football ever going to be like it was when you coached?
Oh, no, I don't think that the game has changed so much. The philosophy of the game, the coaching, no one is from my era, coached in our era, that believed in what we did back then. That's why I say that record we had will never change, and it will always stand the test of time. Because no one runs the ball that much and is committed to it. It can win today. I could do it from the spread formation, get 3 back principles and motion and movement and formations, and still be able to run the triple option and have a quarterback that can throw the football too from there. We'd still have people spread all over the field, but no one's committed to that, and everybody's doing what they're doing today, which fans like, and it's an exciting game, and kids are trained for it and out of high school, and they get their background there, and college coaches don't play in it. That's what they played in, the system. People adhere to what they played and were taught, so that's what they take to coaching when they become the head coach.
Barry, I know you're busy. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Always. Barry Switzer on Sikkim 365 Radio. So we've had Tom Osborne and Barry Switzer on Nebraska-Oklahoma's 50th anniversary of the game of the century. These two teams both have over 900 wins. Yes, Nebraska's been in a free fall for almost a decade plus. In fact, it has been more than that. 12 national titles, 96 conference titles, 10 Heisman Trophy winners. Oklahoma has 7 of those, and 277 first-team All-Americans. Oklahoma is still elite. Nebraska is nowhere near it, but the 50th anniversary
of that game being celebrated in Norman, where the game was played, when Nebraska won 35-31. When we come